this camera or this clock starts, as long as it's moving, the audio's moving.
Gotcha.
Yeah, here's about $1,850. I reduced it, cleaned it up right there. Boom, and then I think the next one was off by 3 cents, and I adjusted that to make sure everything balanced. So I can tell you, when I ran the budget performance report, everything flowed. There was just some entries that happened at different times, and we moved money because we established an expense account to get more detail, and that's why a lot of that happened. Yeah, we can do that. I just wanted that to be, that's part of the monthly report.
I heard you were on the
Yeah, he's not here.
Yeah, not as detailed as I always do, but did you read them? Did you see anything
training down here. You really fair enough. Plausible deniability. So what's your training?
Yeah, I'm on
It was access.
Both of these should be sitting.
Amy even got some.
Nice.
Yeah.
Low 70s? 5 and 6. All 3 of them. Tell me 4. Just straight questions on the
They all came from that one at the same time.
No, I always think. Yeah, you were ahead of the game. Did you see these? I think these are
I forgot to bring anything.
this is part of what I was saying last night.
Yeah.
Try to get this, but you're only taking it away from the you're not increasing it.
Yeah,
Central Plain District Business. I think Central Plain might
Well, so maybe it's just missing
That's how we got it.
Huh?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's 2 commas.
My grandson bought me these for Christmas. They're not actually like a professional hearing aid, it's like 2 of them off line. Just have an amplifier, so I can hear what's going on over there.
So if we just sit here and move our mouths, you'll think that they're doing things.
Not now, before.
Yeah. If we're just like that,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the resolution. And everybody has to read, illegal donations.
You're gonna be 51? 52? 53? I mean, my son's gonna be 53.
for most of my time up here, I've been the young, the youngest, but I see
May just be one then. I think in the past they cut down this.
We're on the hat table.
Kai was, when Kai was up,
So how old were you when you came on the city council?
26.
Which reminds me.
It can't shock anybody. Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, I'll probably call you.
That's fine. That is fine.
And I can't get in trouble for it.
Nope.
So.
If I hold it like this, I can see it without that.
So we hold it for you out here.
I can put a tree out here a little farther away if you want. Your arm's too short. I have just the offset problem. I have to hold them up close to see them.
Where do I up close?
Shit out shot. Too bad it doesn't, right?
I did what I found.
Hey, I was reading those council rules. Did you council started at 7:30?
Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30 on February the 10th, 2025. We'll call this regular Marion City Council meeting to order. Clerk, if you'll take the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Present.
Mr. Ratliff?
Present.
Mr. Schauber? Ms. Lang?
Present.
Mr. T. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Prater?
Here.
Mr. R. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Rollins? Present. Mr. Neff? Mrs. Stoneberger?
Present. We'll start our meeting with our invocation tonight, led by Pastor Brett Gleason of True Life Church. Thank you, Pastor.
Heavenly Father, what a privilege again just to be with hometown folk as we look in the same direction, work together. We give you the praise, give us wisdom to do all the things that we should. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I couldn't help notice but a ping, so if anybody still hasn't silenced a phone, please do that now. Thank you. Council, you have two summaries of proceedings from January 13th and 27th. Mr. T.
I
Smith
move we accept the minutes as submitted.
Second.
and Mr. R. Smith, you want to second that?
Yes.
Anyone have any problem? Okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
All right. Summaries are accepted. Old business, item number 1, resolution 2025-004.
Resolution to approve the Delaware, Knox, Marion, Morrow Joint Solid Waste Management District's Solid Waste Management Plan 5-year update.
It comes to us from your committee, Mr. Smith.
Yes, it does. So this is the second reading on a update that DKFM is making to their management plan. Noticeable differences, I suppose. There is a $1.50 a ton increase to the city for the solid waste disposal fee, which would amount to about $23,000 in increase if we were to dispose of the same amount of waste that we did last year this year. The only question I have would be, how is the city how are we going to deal with that cost? Is it gonna go to the residents, or does anybody have an answer to that question? Other than that, I have nothing else new to add.
I guess the other question I would have is, if we don't want the increase, what alternative do we have?
Don't really have any suggestion.
Think otherwise, doesn't the EPA come in and then do their work as if this isn't passed? Didn't something about the EPA would come in? And it might be worse, the charge. Don't know. What do we want?
Mr. Rodan, I didn't see his hand.
Yes.
I'm Cheryl Corbin from DK.
Ms. Corbin, please come on back up to the podium. Thank you.
The answer to your question is, so this is an 18-month process. It involves commissioners, it involves residents, it includes the mayor or the mayor's rep, from each of the counties. They are the ones that have worked this process, worked this plan, and made the recommendation of changing it since the current plan that we have had not had an increase since 2012. We have to cut programs. They didn't want to see that happen. So they voted for the $1.50 thing. It has to have a ratification of 60% from all 4 counties, including 4 of the biggest cities. So Marion, Delaware, Mount Gilead, and Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon and Knox is, Mount Gilead have already passed theirs. Delaware is probably passing theirs tonight. So we would love to see 100% participation. If we did not get 60% of the ratification, then it would go back to EPA. EPA would then write the plan. There's 9 goals that the state makes you follow as a solid waste district. Those 9 goals, this plan says this is how we're going to meet those 9 goals of reducing waste, keeping things out of landfill. If they write the plan, nobody has any say but EPA on what we will do to meet those goals. So they could say, I don't think your education's in the benefit, get rid of that, or I don't think you need to pay compost facilities to take their compost. All of our programming could be at their mercy, and that's why we always get out to the communities. Jenna, the director, is actually at Delaware City tonight doing the exact same thing. So next Tuesday, I'm in Powell. It's very important that everybody understand and are comfortable with a yes vote. No, not voting is considered a no vote as well.
So you did a great job answering my question, but you did not answer his.
His question was, I think it goes to EPA, and that is correct.
No, his question was,
sorry.
who does that cost get passed on to?
Well, is that your question? I'm sorry. Oh, your question. Okay. Sorry, I must have missed that. It's $1.50 per ton collected at the facilities. So it does trickle down. It does not necessarily mean the resident is going to get charged $1.50 more a month. It means that for Delaware City, it's an additional cost of about $23,000 per year that will start next year. And how you guys decide you want to pass that on to your residents is really you, not me.
You mean Marion? For Marion.
Correct, yeah.
So that, I think I just heard you say it, but I want to make sure, so the actual increase won't go into effect until next calendar year?
Correct. The plan is due to be ratified, and will start January 1st of next year.
So that would give us time to incorporate that into our 26 budget, not having to worry about it this year and figure out how we're going to trickle that down.
Thank you, Mayor Collins. Thank you, Mrs. Corbin.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
I have to apologize. So she did say the mayor is a representative, but when I came on board, Scott Bishop was already the representative for the city of Marion. So he attends all these meetings. He attended all of the planning sessions. And I don't want to speak on something that I'm ignorant to. So I just don't want to say something. I mean, Scott's really the in-house expert on that. And I could make sure that if you guys had any questions I couldn't answer, that he could answer them for me.
Thank you. Mr. Rattler?
So, in looking at it, because I know at the last meeting, one of my questions was how much of an increase that this was going to be. And with it being about a $23,000 increase, and rough math in my head, there's about probably 15,000 homes that would be split up between. So you're looking at about a 10 cents a month increase, is how again, that's rough math in my head, but that's the increase that we're looking at, is about 10 cents a month per household.
If it gets passed on to the city bills to the resident.
Yes. Yeah, if you take a 23,000 annually, dividing between 15,000 households, that would be, rough math, about 10 cents a month.
Yes.
My name's Josh Daniels.
I'm gonna make a comment. I mean, I can agree with her.
Point out a few things. I believe the current fee is $6.75. $6. So we're at $6, and that would be $7.50. That is per ton that will be paid by also private haulers. I'm not saying that I object to it. I stood up here because I would give city council a suggestion. This money is used to divert recyclables, things that can be reused out of the landfill for the sake of landfill space. Last I knew, the city spent about, I think the figure was $324,000 for curbside recycling. We had a huge argument over where those recyclables actually ended up. If you're from Canada, they believe that a lot of that plastic ends up shipped to Indonesia. Then I watch a documentary that says, wow, how did the plastic from Marysville end up on a beach in Indonesia? That aside from the point, you spend $324,000 more now, I'm sure. But I want you to look at your other comrades in the 3 other counties. Marion currently provides more to recycling efforts on its own dime than I believe anyone else in your district. A city this size provides curbside recycling, not in a township where trash and everything else is dumped into a recycling bin and then have to be sorted. You're sorting it as well. Now, this money is used for grants often, and if this city is willing to pay $23,000 more and then not ask for a recycling truck, I would be remiss. If you're going to continue to recycle, you shouldn't burden all the cost. You should go to DKMM and say, hey, our numbers add to yours. Am I correct so far, man?
Well, theoretically, yes, we are going to, one of the programs that will be added back in is the grant process. We have supported Marion City in our grant processes over the last several
That's true.
Processing years. So yes, they've gotten tire grants. They've gotten 2, actually, recycling trucks since I have been working with DKM.
I would keep that in mind. Your effort towards this endeavor is larger. Possibly Delaware might compare with you. But you as a municipality in this 4-county district, your participation is higher than anyone else's. Keep in mind, there are townships that provide no recycling at their expense at all. It is all sent to DKMM to provide. You don't have DKMM dumpsters sitting around the city because you provide it at our expense, a trash customer. So demand more for your dollar is what I would suggest. That's all.
If you don't mind, so your suggestion would be no more city recycling pickup, but strictly rely on DKMM to do that? Like they're our only source of recycling?
You know, I went down that road, and yes, if you were to stop your recycling altogether, DKMM would then have to provide boxes for it to be recycled inside the city. At the time, that didn't sound like a bad idea, to be honest. When you realize where the recyclables are going and the amount of money that you're paying per ton to get rid of the recyclables, which now costs more than garbage. I mean, economically, you have to say there's a problem there, you know? If it costs more to get rid of, is it really recyclables? We used to be compensated for recyclables that we sorted, and now we're paying more than if we put it in the landfill. So that's more odd math, but if you're going to continue to do recycling, I think that personally, if I were sitting at the table, I'd say if I put out $324,000 or $400 to recycle, and the solid waste district uses my numbers to meet its targets with the OEPA, why am I paying as much as people who don't contribute? Why don't I get a break on the amount that I pay DKMM if I'm providing a lot of their service? But they'll let you keep doing it if you want. No one will owe you, except the people who paid for it. And probably them, they don't know about it, I do, but. Is that, any other questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
They have till April 12th to ratify, if we're going to, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Recommend we make it a second reading.
so we just leave this at a second reading?
Sounds like it. All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 2, ordinance 2025. Wait a minute, it's got the same number.
Yeah, one's resolution, the other one's ordinance.
Oh, thank you, all right. 2025-004, EECBG grant, energy fund.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a reimbursement contract with the Department of Energy, appropriating the necessary funds, accepting reimbursement funds from the Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant, EECBG, through the state of Ohio's Department of Energy and declaring an emergency.
Mr. T. Smith again?
It did come out of my, my committee. This is the second reading. This is for reimbursement grant covering lights at the ball fields at Lincoln Park, 2 of them actually. And at the first reading, there was a question about getting bids. Was the service director able to receive?
We did
Oh,
get
he's not
another
here.
bid. It's from Owens Electric. I have 2 quotes if you would like them.
Stapled together.
Here we go.
If shared,
The ordinance is just for the grant, so award, right?
Yes, the ordinance is just for accepting the grant, not the bid.
One's electric. 3934. Comes up to 575.
But I have nothing new to add to that.
What reading is that?
Second.
Ms. Ratliff?
So my question will still stand that I had asked the last time, and especially that this other bid came in at, 78,000, a little more. What were to happen if this runs over?
And Ballinger, Park Superintendent. So I talked to Cogburn Electric, and I told him, I said, listen, it's only a $75,000 grant. He said, if we bid at 75,000, it's not gonna go over 1 penny. So,
It was a not to exceed clause.
yeah, so I was actually on vacation when this was going through, and I called and talked to him. I actually sent it out to 2 other electric places too, to get quotes, and nothing. Owens actually just got back to me today. So, and we've used Cogburn on some other electrical projects, and they've done a great job. So,
That's fine, we were just curious because it was right at that threshold, that 75,000.
yeah, I know.
If it would
yeah.
run over,
And-
so.
And I talked to them, like I said, and they're not gonna go over. And that's what they told me. If we bid at 75,000, that's where it's gonna be at.
I think if you award the contract, I'd probably have that contract amended to not to exceed.
Well, yeah, I would definitely make sure that they sign it, saying that they're not
Yeah.
gonna go over anything. Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. R. Smith, did you have a question for us?
That was my question.
Oh, okay.
It's answered.
Thank you. Mr. Barr?
Motion to suspend 3 readings.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend 3 readings and a second, and before we decide on that, okay, well, we'll come back to you guys then, thank you. Is that all right?
Yeah.
No.
Naomi Gray, 365 Silver Street. I know this is just a motion to adopt, but, and I know Cosler is a local company.
To suspend.
Okay, but if we're, to suspend them, okay. But if someone's telling us, I promise it won't exceed $75,000, now they have absolutely no reason to cut costs and to take it right to the $75,000.
That's not what the ordinance is.
I know, but that was
Right.
just my 2
Yeah.
cents, so.
The ordinance is for the reimbursement
I got it.
of it. This isn't awarding the contract.
Mr. Bodine?
I just want to add to that, I think I mentioned this last week, but originally we were just going to use this for lighting Kennedy Field. And then I think Kenny went through the efforts to get a quote, and it was much lower than what the grant was for. So we decided to also upgrade another field, so that's why it hit that $75,000 mark, just so everybody's clear.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend in a second. You ready?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion carries, 7-0.
You got a
All right.
question out here.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Good evening. Christian Dunstan, 211 East Fairground. I'm curious of how the bid process works because recently I've seen that we've been given grants for, say, $100,000 and then magically that bid comes in right at 100,000. This one was 75 and magically 75 is the winning bid. So how is the bid process? Like, do we say we've been given a grant, we're opening this up to bid, or do we say we're opening this up to bid and it's not to exceed a certain amount?
Mr. Barr?
Mr. Dunstan, it's a $75,000 threshold that you have to get multiple bids, but as Mr. Bodine just said, this was only to do lighting in one ballpark. So because they came in under that 75,000 by so much, they added an additional ballpark. So really, we're getting 2 ballparks done for this grant.
Thank you for the explanation. My question was in general.
On how they're putting it out for
When we
bid.
bid out, are we letting people to know the bids are not to exceed this amount of money because we can't pay that much? Or are we saying, give us your best bid?
We are saying, give us your best bid.
Thank you.
This is what we're trying to do, tell us how much it costs.
Okay. Thank you.
That contract, we can negotiate that not to exceed.
Thank you.
And just so you know, even if it's underneath that threshold, we've asked, and they've been obliging to that. They only have to get 1 bid, but we want contractors to be more competitive. So we're asking for more than 1 bid, even if it's underneath that $75,000 threshold.
Okay.
To force the competition.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Ratliff, you have anything else?
And just so you know too, that which we don't see, the other bid that came in, is 39,246 plus 34,916, whatever that is. So like, there's not, bid, because that's not the even dollar amount, just so you know.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Mr. T. Smith,
Make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
we have a motion to adopt. And
I
Mr.
second.
Prater, you have a second?
Yep.
Okay. Are you ready?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion carries, 7-0. Next is item number 3, under old business ordinance 2025-005, carryover 2024 expenses ordinance.
Ordinance making appropriations in the below listed line items for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
And this is out of your committee, Ms. Lang, Finance?
This came out of Finance Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. Tonight is the second read. At the last meeting, there was questions about possibly missing projects and Mr. Schauber had asked that question. And I had asked him to give us a list of the projects that he thought could possibly be missing.
Yes.
Can you repeat? I didn't hear what's the question.
Mr. Schauber last meeting had felt that there was missing projects. And I had told him that you had researched everything and wasn't aware of any. And that I challenged him that if there were missing projects, for him to give you a list. So, at this point, Ms. Courtwright, did he provide you with a list or?
He did not, he did reach out to me, so.
Could I interject? Is that where he asked about the tall grass trails or something like that? Was that a different?
Well, it was in the same thing, yes, but, I believe that, an answer was given
Yeah,
that they were
It
gonna.
doesn't need to be put on stilts, they put a ventilation system.
That's right.
Right.
Thank you. Okay.
So if anybody has any further questions about this, I would ask you to ask Ms. Courtwright tonight. These are for pending contracts that were approved in previous years and that have been completed and are carried over to the 2025 budget. Would you like to add anything else on that?
Ms. Courtwright, you want to add to that?
Aaron, that's the same report you would have gotten last week. I just made another copy, just in case you didn't bring it with you. And Mr. Ratliff mentioned, and I think I understood his question. That's why I did the spreadsheet. I apologize, I was not here at the last meeting. So I was hoping that this would help answer that question. I believe the question was posed to me if these were within the budget or went over the budget. If I remember that conversation. Okay. Is that what you meant? I thought that's how I understood the question. That's why I did the spreadsheet. So I did it, how much the carryover is, that matches the subtotaled amount for each of the funds in the very first column. How much of the budget from 2024 did not spend where it was appropriated originally, to show you that it didn't exceed the carryover fit with that inside that budget. And the last column was just extra, and it was just the unaudited cash, as I've been very diligently looking at all the cash and trying to make sure that the flow is flowing. As I said, I've been working with the 2020, 2021 balance because Mr. Chopper kind of said 19 was our amounts, and I was trying to kind of take the 2020 cash balance, statement of cash position, and match it up with the unspent cash we received, or unspent money that we spent by fund. So the ones that are in negatives are the ones that were a negative cash balance: police, fire, and storm. Those are based on some projects that are coming through. Obviously, we should do and I don't believe we've closed out our 2024 books. We should do probably a transfer, a temporary transfer, and then continue to work on that. I did a lot of work in 2024 to try to clean up some of the negative cash balances. Police and fire are still somewhat of a problem, and I would have to say that based on what I saw through the historical data that I'm seeing, the last contract negotiations was significantly more, that they got the raises that they got, and I can tell you that the non-salary seems pretty flat, and the salaries and benefits are where the increase happened, and that was in the last negotiation that was passed a year and a half ago. That is causing a bit of the problem, and not always, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
No, I guess that should have been budgeted for though, right?
Should have been, but that was not under our range, so as we've looked at it,
Yeah.
I can tell you that it didn't necessarily fit. Unfortunately, the transfers also didn't change from year to year previously, so the fire got this much this year, and then this much the next year, and it went like this, so it kind of goes like this, and it's almost like, here's what we had left in the budget, so we went ahead and transferred to help offset the fund balance for those two funds, but they didn't always have enough to cover, and they did sometimes roll negative, as we saw last year. But as I can tell you, these are items that have already been purchased. We've already had purchase orders in 2024.
We have an obligation to those, that those would need to be cleaned up. We will continue to work on police and fire, and storm will be taken care of. We're finishing up some projects, so I think that we're getting a better handle on the storm as well. So, but the other funds all had cash balances, and if you see, we had about $5.3 million in cash in the general fund, so we could do a temporary transfer to get us to the hump, but then we're gonna have to continue to work to make sure we're diligent. I know I've been a thorn in a lot of people's side this spring, this first couple months of the new budget cycle, because they're not used to having people ask questions about the budget. I've been a little bit of a stickler on that, and we're really trying to pull things in line and make sure that we're living within our budget. But I know you held off until I got back, but we do have these items that we will need to probably get paid before the next meeting. I mean, we don't have purchase orders, we don't have appropriations for them, so we need to appropriate these funds so we can get purchase orders open. So as those bills start rolling in for things that we didn't get paid in 2024, need to get paid and keep the vendors processed. I can tell you that Fund 408 on the back, which is the big one, $496,000, that's a grant. So we will get funds back for that once we've completed the work and pay those vendors. Is there any other questions? I'd like to answer those for you.
Thank you, Ms. Corrigan. Ms. Rollins?
Motion to suspend.
We have a motion to suspend the 3 readings rule, and Mr. Prater, it looks like you have a second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
6-1. Retire 7.
Requires discussion. Yes? Oh, requires second.
Yeah, retire 7.
Sorry, I was not looking at that. All right.
If you don't mind,
motion-
I can't hear what you're.
I'm sorry, motion does not carry because it requires 7.
The motion requires 7 affirmative votes to pass.
7 out of 9 or
7 out of 9.
Well, we don't have 9.
Well, the only minority voted no anyway, so it's irrelevant,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Can I say something else?
Yes.
Just so you know, we won't be able to pay these bills. So I've asked for these things to be taken care of so we can pay our bills on time. What should I tell vendors?
It'll be a late.
I mean, I'm just trying to keep the process moving. I just need to know, clarification, what I should tell people, staff, when they're trying to, open up the purchase order to pay out their last bills from last year. Trade 365 Silver Street. Tell them we spent too much money last year and we don't have enough money to pay them.
Ms. Lang?
The problem wasn't last year, it was the previous years.
No, it's 24.
Trade 365 Silver Street.
Some
I
of
know I
these
have
are
a problem with
carried over from
misunderstandings, but I do
before.
believe it should be like 2024.
Any other discussion? We'll keep it at second reading for tonight. Mr. Smith?
I have a question for Ms. Courtwright. When are these gonna be late, incurring late fees?
I don't know, I mean, I don't know where we're at in the various processes.
Chief, do you
Yeah.
have an answer?
So we have extrication equipment that was ordered November 26th. So the window for those to be delivered is February 25th through March 27th. So I don't know what the amount was, 68,000? 66,000. So that could come by the end of the month. So your second reading may or may not hit, or third reading may or may not hit that. But we do have a vested interest in expediting this if possible.
Ms. Lang?
Can I ask Mr. Ratliff what his objection is?
So I have
to
talked
this?
to the department head, and there's money on here that I do not agree with spending, and so, I mean, and I have always lived by the rule, if you don't like one thing, you can't vote for any of it.
You mind me asking what's on here that shouldn't be then?
Well, so if you guys want to take off the third line down, which is the $15,000, I would support the rest.
Which one is the third line down?
Isaac Wiles.
What is that?
But I'm not supporting that.
Madam President?
Yes.
So I talked with Mr. Ratliff, he and I had a good conversation, I understand his objection. I don't think it's of importance to go through the detail of the objection. I have no problem if there's a motion to amend to strike that $15,000 and let me bring it back to finance next Monday night as a standalone so that the full council can reconsider it going forward. I can work with that. But you may or may not recall, this was an ordinance passed in October or early November to afford the law director this amount of money to retain an expert in the area of zoning law having to do with anti-discrimination and equal rights in housing. It's related to the plaintiff's case that the City of Marion versus Capgro and Lighthouse behavior. And so, but just so we can move things along, we don't hold up other areas of the city, I urge you to make a motion to amend to strike that line and let me bring it back to committee as a standalone next Monday night. So you can pass upon a reconsideration the other items on this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr.
I will
Russell.
make that motion.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I
I'll
would
make the
make that
motion.
motion. Go ahead.
Which fund?
You're making a motion to make the amendment that Mr. Russell just
Yes,
suggested.
to remove that 15,000.
Which fund is it?
General fund, the last one on.
So what's the number?
1013.5402.
We have some public comment that is going to come up before we proceed, so I saw your hand first.
Anthony Arias, 1351 Boulevard. So, just from what I've been hearing, as a council, we have been complaining that we're below budget. If this continues, now, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to go next year with unpaid bills, correct? So it's going to keep
This will
continuing.
this will increase the appropriation, so no, that would not be the case. So it would increase, the budget was set as an original amount, and this would add additional appropriation so that they have additional money to pay these old bills, so they don't have to use the 2025 budget to do that.
But I just think as a council, we're not thinking financially, and it's just a repeating cycle. I think it just needs to, we need to look at the level we can.
I have one more.
Well, I was going to respond to him if you.
Oh, go ahead.
Just to even possibly help you understand, that when the council enters into, or when the city enters into a contract close to the end of the year, and you may have budgeted the funds to do that, but if the contract is not fulfilled, and if you haven't received the product, if you haven't received the service, then you don't pay that until the following year. It was budgeted the prior year, so then you have to carry that over, and that's what this does, is that it carries over what you entered into in '24 to be able to be paid in '25. I hope that helps.
Christian Nelson, 211 East Fairground. I just need a point of clarification. When a motion to suspend fails, you then can't jump into amending the motion.
That's where I was at, I don't.
You have to, don't you have to do a motion of
Motion to
reconsideration?
reconsider.
And then that has to pass, and then you can do it. Because doing it the way you're doing it is gonna get everything all fouled up. So just, you count votes. But it would be a motion to reconsider, and then you would move forward. But I have no problem with what has been suggested. I think the, you know, for working with everybody, but I just want to make sure it's done right. So you have to reconsider it before you can amend it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Mr. R. Smith withdraws his motion.
Madam President, I think it has to be done this way. You can't reconsider a suspension. So you would have to amend it and then reconsider the suspension.
Oh, amend it first and then reconsider.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
You want to take that back?
Motion back on the table.
Back on the table.
Amy Craig, 365 Silver Street. I just have a question about the amendments, because I've been listening to the meetings, the ones that are not here, and I'm not amending stuff in committees, and then only council can amend stuff, but then at one point in time, council couldn't amend anything, it had to be done in the committee meeting, and if it needs to be amended in council, then it had to go back to the committee. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, what's the deal? Like, are you amending stuff in full council now? Are you only amending stuff in committee? Because the rules have changed like 4 times, and it makes it really complicated to keep track of.
That was Jason. He's not here to.
Please don't whisper.
Mr. Ratliff.
In my opinion, the rule has never changed. The practice has changed. And in my opinion, and I stated that at the last round, the council or a committee can change it. And
Thank you for the clarification.
I disagree with that.
I know.
Council rules say that we cannot amend in committee. We must recommend an amendment to the council and let the council do the amendment. That's what the council rules say.
365 Silver Street. From the public's perspective, can we get Mr. Russell to weigh in on this? Because really, when you're sitting at home and you're like, okay, they amended that, is this a committee? Okay, yeah, this is a committee meeting, but at last council, they sent it back to committee to be amended. And now this is a full council meeting, and they're going to amend it in the middle of council. So I don't know what the actual, it's really confusing, like when you think you know what the rules are, and then they change, and then they go back as well. The practice, I guess I should say. So, thank you.
Madam President? Sure. To follow up Ms. Craig's question, and it was actually addressed at committee last week. The rule hasn't changed, as Mr. Ratliff said. There has been confusion among members of council in regards to the practices that they apply. And Mr. Smith is right. There is a rule in the council rules that talks about the committee shall not amend an ordinance. However, several council members have indicated they're going to address that rule at future meetings of committees. It was created in 1969. Council members in 1969 probably understood what its purpose was, but it's causing confusion now. So that particular rule is going to be addressed. So, but it's my opinion, like that of Mr. Ratliff, council can amend an ordinance and a committee can amend an ordinance. We just need to take care of this rule from 1969 that's creating a little bit of a conflict.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Mr. T. Smith has made a motion.
No, Mr. R. Smith made.
Mr. R. Smith, sorry.
Was there a second?
I'll second the amendment.
Mr. T. Smith has a second.
And just to verify, the amendment is to strike the third line item on here on the ordinance listed as law, account number 101-103-5402 for $15,000.
Yes.
That's correct.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion carries to strike, to amend that line item. Mr. Ratliff?
Motion to suspend, please.
Motion motion to suspend for Mr. Ratliff and a second for Mr. Prater.
Mr. Ratliff made the motion.
A second for Mr. Prater, yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion carries 0. Mr. Barr?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion to adopt the amended ordinance, and a second from Mr. Rossman. Motion from Mr. Barr, second from Mr. Rossman.
Mr. Barr?
You want
Yes.
to read it? You want to read it?
Yes, I need to read that again, I apologize. Ordinance making appropriations in the below listed line items for the year ending December 31st, 2025 as amended.
Now we'll take the vote for motion to adopt.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion carries. So now move on to new business.
Thank you.
Item number 4, ordinance 2025-007, OHPO City Programmatic Agreement.
Ordinance to establish a programmatic agreement for HUD-funded projects between the Ohio Historic Preservation Office and the City of Marion and declaring an emergency.
And this is from city planning, if you're looking at an agenda. There's an error on there about regional planning. Jobs and Economic Development, Mr. R. Smith, did you have anything to?
Yes, this came out of the Jobs and Economic Development Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. It's to deal with the community development block grants. And as I understand it, it expired on December 31st, 24. We did get an extension. But I recommend that we suspend the rules and pass this.
Yes.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend the rules of 3 readings and a second, and we have public comment. The second was, I'm sorry.
Christian Dustin, 211 East Fairground. So, the one I'm looking at, there are 5 whereases. The 5th whereas says there's an amendment to the program. Can somebody explain to me what the amendment is?
She will.
It says extends the duration, so maybe that has to do with where it expired on the 31st. I'm just guessing.
It says there's an amendment to the program agreement that extends the duration, clarifies the scope of the exempt activities, and includes additional administrative stipulations. So do we know what that amendment says?
I believe
Clarifies those things.
she's going to explain that.
And just to clarify for you too, that was not an amendment from the city. That was an amendment from the Ohio Historic Preservation
No,
Office.
I get it.
That was, it's a
They've
change,
amended something.
it's a change to the
We're agreeing to
program.
their change.
Okay, one of the changes was that in the past, Evelyn were on this regional planning. So this is a programmatic agreement with the Historic Preservation Office. In the past, if a building was 50 years old or older, you had to coordinate with them. Now it's 45 years and older. And I think they changed the name of the department that we deal with at the Department of Development, which now OCI, Office of Community Investment, instead of previously, changed the name.
But they've changed their names a couple of times. And the amendment, without those, okay. Oh, okay, I guess they're, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so one of the other amendments is that every year that we submit these, we have to do an annual report saying all the projects we didn't coordinate with the state. This gives us the right to not coordinate with OHPO on a construction project, as I never do. So my report always says 0 projects that I didn't ask permission first. But if I did, let's say we did some projects and we said, here's an example of some of the projects we did without consulting OHPO, they have the right to then randomly select 3 and then see if we did it right, which is exactly why I don't ever use the program, because I don't want to get caught after that. But yes, you're right, that is 3 samples for any project that we didn't coordinate with them.
That's it. I just wanted to know if we could know what the amendments are. Like Evelyn said, I mean, I'm also in city planning for dealing with Evelyn and dealing with these things. It's unfortunate, but the state seems to play gotcha instead of letting help you. So I wouldn't want you guys to vote to put this city in a situation to where this historical preservation can play gotcha. So knowing those things is important, even if they seem mundane, like 5 years, like honestly, who cares about 5 years? But them being able to select 3 at random, that's, in this community, could be a very big deal. So, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion to suspend in a second.
Oh, you're right. Okay, we had a motion to suspend the 3 readings rule. So, go ahead.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins? Mr. Rollins?
I said yes.
Oh,
I didn't hear you.
I didn't hear you. I apologize.
All right, motion carries unanimously to suspend the 3 rules.
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt from Mr. Barr and a second from Mr. R. Smith. Any other discussion? All right.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff? Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 5, ordinance 2025-008, commercial district changes to code 2025 ordinance for adult use cannabis.
Ordinance amending existing Marion City Code 1143.012, use regulations in the C2 Community Shopping District, pyramiding into the C3, C4, and C5 commercial districts to include adult use cannabis dispensaries and recreational marijuana sales.
And for you in the public, anything on here, and also council, anything on here that says regional planning should say city planning. This is out of zoning and annexation?
Yep, this comes out of zoning and annexation. It's about the changing of the zoning rule, districts for the sale of what is now legal recreational use marijuana. And this came out of our committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. Is there any questions on this, or can anybody here explain this?
Go ahead.
No, please.
You have questions?
No, jump on in.
I do appreciate all the thoughtful discussion that occurred at City Planning Commission to make this recommendation on the adult cannabis use, that it would be in most of the commercial districts, with the exception of those that are in the residential area, or what we call C1. They are kind of neighborhood-based. So
Can you remind us what the vote was out of?
that one was,
8-0.
well, that one I think was 8-0. It was either 8-0 or 7-1. That one we had very strong support. Yes, come on down.
I think this would be very good if it's 8-0 in the city planning and 3-0 out of the committee. I would make a motion to suspend the rule unless Mr. Dunstan has something to say here.
Christian Dunstan, 211 East Fairground. I'm also on city planning with the mayor, so he's gonna take these strays with me. To answer your question, was it 8-0? It was, but it didn't start out that way. It was very divided it was very divided, and it was very entrenched on where these should go. I believe 2 members had the opinion that it should be nowhere within driving distance of Marion. And we were able to drag them to the 8-0 vote that you see before you. A lot of talk, a lot of compromise, a lot of acknowledging everybody's points and how they feel about it. There were people on my end of the table that believed as long as it's done responsibly, there shouldn't be a restriction because there's no restriction in the state, so why are we gonna start restricting things? But we also understood that that was gonna be a losing battle quickly because you weren't ever gonna get enough people to go with you. So in order to get something started that can always be, and we said this, but we also understand, we've seen meetings where it's like line up, right? That doesn't usually happen. It can always be amended later if we're seeing that it can work better someplace else. The thought process is, this is, with the votes that you got, the least restricted that we could get for right now, especially since there were folks that were just not on board at all. So I hope that answers the original question. So.
Thank you. And Mr. Barr?
Mr. Prater, I know you put a motion out there to suspend, but I think it would be my recommendation that this goes 3 readings for the community to have an opportunity on something like this to go 3 readings.
I'll rescind that motion to suspend.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Any other comments?
For 3.
Okay, so move this to a second reading. Leave it at Item number 6 then is ordinance 2025-009, amending zoning code R3 and commercial districts for recovery housing.
Ordinance amending existing Marion City Code 1137.011, use regulations in the R3 multifamily district, and section 1143.0123A2C3 central core and 1143.014AC4 central frame district business districts to address recovery housing.
All right, this also come out of the zoning and annexation committee with a 3-0 recommendation. This is related to recovery housing that could be in neighborhoods where people might object. Is there anybody else that has any questions about this? About what has happened? I had a phone call today from somebody in the 6th Ward concerning the recovery housing that is currently on, still on Merchant Avenue, but has not shut down yet. And they wanted to know about that.
So the answer is, the city of Marion filed litigation in the Marion County Common Pleas Court that's still pending. And it's proceeding through the litigation, and it's connected with that appropriation, which I'll have to bring back to you next Monday night at committee. But we are continuing to take the steps to have the Common Pleas Court order them to discontinue their current use.
Yeah, because the gentleman in question wanted to know if this particular ordinance would continue to allow that, and I said, no, I said, that thing, that what we were just talking about there, the Merchant Avenue location is under litigation.
It is being litigated. This is some corrective action taken by the city with regional planning and city planning's assistance to allow for recovery housing in the proper areas as determined by regional planning, city planning, and ultimately council.
All right.
Ms. Wallace, did you have something to clarify about any of this?
Yeah, I will, just a little bit. I guess for those that don't know, we have multiple residential districts, and this does list recovery housing in the R3, which is our hired multifamily residential district. The reasons that C4 and C3 are amended also is because typically things that are allowed in the C3, which is downtown, the code is written in such a way that it normally allows dwelling units of the type permitted in R3. And since we just now allowed recovery in R3, we wanted to make sure that in this case, because the board, city planning's recommendation is not to allow it in the C3, not to allow it to roll automatically. So we put that in new words to say that C3 is amended to read dwelling units of the types permitted and regulated in the R3 district, excluding recovery housing. And then since C4, things from C3 pyramid up into that, which that is where we want it to be able to roll up into the C4 and C5, we added an extra sentence, so mainly that people don't get lost in the cross-referencing of the code, that recovery housing shall be permitted in the C4 and C5 districts, and again clarifying it's not to be in the C1, C2, or C3. So it would leave, all the multifamily and most of the commercial districts that allow for higher density housing. That's where it would end up being. So being permitted and specifically listed by name, so there's no confusion, is it this, is it that? We wanted to just make it easier for somebody to know where they can be and where they can't be, because a lot of times the code does cross-reference or include some things and rules them up. We want to make sure there's no confusion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion on this?
I had a question for Ms. Armbus. So are the X's where they cannot be? And then
No,
if
it
it's,
is where they can be, so anything, so you'll see,
well, I understand that now. So tourist homes, are Airbnbs considered tourist homes?
they will be once we amend the, code to state that clearly. But yes, I
And
would
they-
say that right now, that's one of the other amendments that, was reversed back out of committee, back to city planning to tighten up a little bit, but yes.
So they won't be allowed to be in R1s or R1Bs anymore, and they are currently.
This is all on the recovery housing. I've only changed the thing related to recovery
Okay.
housing in this particular. In the one where we discussed tourist home, we're going to do that. This is where they currently are. We're going to do that by amending the definition of tourist home to state that it also known as Airbnb, short-term rentals. So we're not going to change where they're allowed. We're just going to expand to the more common names that they go by.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
I would recommend this to be a first reading.
All right. Item number 7 now. Ordinance 2025-010, to amend zoning, new definitions, 2025.
Ordinance to amend the zoning code 1123.01, definitions, to add definitions for opioid treatment programs, office-based opioid treatment programs, recovery housing, 133, recreational or and adult use cannabis and recreational use adult use cannabis dispensaries.
This also come out of the zoning and annexation committee, and it's about the changing of the zoning laws or regulations to allow for opioid treatment. I think I recall there was one that was talked about on West Church. Is there any discussion, any opinions?
These are to actually put these definitions in the definition section of the code, so that way when we do place them other places within various use districts, as you mentioned in the prior two ordinances, there's actually a definition that matches Ohio Revised Code as what we mean by that. There were two, these are all brand new, they're not previously in the zoning code by definition or by being placed in any specific district, so all three of these ordinances will find a home for them in the zoning code and the definition. Some of the others are going back to city planning, but those were all the definitions that were already in the code but are being amended. So these are just brand new ones that aren't in the zoning code right now, and now we will pass them.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
And also recommended this as a first reading.
Takes us to item number 8, ordinance 2025-011, federal grant appropriation.
Ordinance authorizing the City of Marion Service Director and Marion Area Transit to accept and take all actions necessary to receive and administer the Federal Transit Administration, Section 5339 USC through ODOT, authorizing necessary appropriations of monies received and declaring an emergency as amended.
Ms. Lang, this comes out of Finance Committee.
Yes, this came out of Finance with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. There was an incorrect amount when it came to committee. Section 2, A, had a dollar amount of 91,000 something, I can't remember exactly what, and it should have been 29,072. And it was agreed that would be corrected and come to council with the correct amount. And that's the only thing that was amended. If anybody has any questions, Ms. Welch is here from Transit to answer any questions that you may have on that.
Questions or comments? Mr. Buck?
Motion to suspend the 3 readings.
We have a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
Second.
And a second from Mr. T. Smith. That's Mr. Barr, Mr. T. Smith.
Madam President, just as a clarification from the law director, because it would be a clerical error, I believe. Because we've had so much discussion about what can be amended and when it can be amended. This was changed in committee and sent on to council like it is now, so it has never been officially amended by council, and so it would not have as amended in the title, correct?
I'm trying to connect, does the document that was distributed for tonight's agenda, does it have the $20,000?
It does.
So it could, because it was amended in committee, that's the right number. It should not refer to as amended in the title. So the as amended should be stricken because it was not amended by council at council.
I rescind my motion to suspend. I'm gonna make a motion to amend and strike the as amended.
That can be a clerical error, correct? Or would you suggest?
I'd suggest proceed with amending it to strike it.
Okay.
Okay, we have a
Make a
motion
to strike as amended.
We have a motion to strike as amended and a second from Mr. R. Smith.
You have a question?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. To amend, and Mr. Barr?
Motion to suspend.
Motion to suspend Mr. Barr, back to Mr. Smith, T. Smith for the second. You ready?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Barr?
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt. And a second from Mr. T. Smith again, sorry. Mr. Rollins, you did have a question or comment?
No.
I guess no, I'm not gonna ask the question. Carry on. Proceed.
Okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Item number 9, ordinance 2025-012, electric ag board provider.
Ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into a contract with the lowest and most responsible supplier for a firm supply of electric power for members of the City of Marion aggregation program and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes, the city started to enter into aggregation programs back in 2001, and in the last 24 years, the aggregation program has saved about $3 million in people's bills over a 24-year span. And so we're just going to re-enter into the aggregation program. That the rate for the program is cheaper than the rate that you would get if you're not in the program. And the way that this was developed and will continue is that it is an opt-out program, that once it is passed, everyone is automatically in unless you opt out. Now, out of committee, this came, it hit the committee agenda with an as amended in the header, and we tried to send it out without that, but we've set precedent in the previous one. I'll make a motion to amend to strike the words as amended in the title.
We have a motion to amend by striking as amended, and a second, that's for Mr. Ratliff, and a second for Mr. Barr. And I'm out of paper.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
I have a question.
Motion to amend carries.
I have a
Mr. R.
question.
Smith, question?
On the second whereas, with the figure there, is there a misplaced comma or a misplaced added zero? I don't know which. It makes a big difference.
So that, Madam President, if I may respond to Mr. Smith's question, that's a clerical typographical error. Mr. Ratliff had accurately referred to the amount as 3 million. So I would just let every council member know that I don't know what that number is. It's a lot more than 3 million. It's supposed to be 3 million.
Thank you, Mr. Russell and Mr. Smith, for the question. There's another hand up here somewhere. Mr. Barr?
Motion to suspend.
A motion to suspend the rules. Mr. T. Smith
Second.
has the second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion to suspend the rules carries. Mr. Ratliff?
Make a motion to adopt, please.
Mr. Ratliff has a motion to adopt. Mr. T. Smith, do you have a second? Okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next one, matters not on the agenda. Ms. Lang?
Yes, Ms. Courtwright passed out a budget transfer for January of 2025 to council tonight. If anybody has any questions on that, now would be the opportune time to ask any questions that you may have.
Ms. Courtwright?
So this is the first report based on the ordinance that we passed, that I would provide you a report at the end of the month for any budget transfers that were done during the month. January was a little bit crazy because we did add some additional expense accounts, just because under supplies, we had 5 supply accounts. And I think one was donations, which I didn't really call a supply. So we expanded our supplies a little bit so that on your budget performance reports that you get for 2025, the street and road supplies will be in a separate account. The garage supplies, when we send vehicles over to the garage for repair, the bill comes out of labor and supplies, kind of like when you go and get your car repaired. So we separated those out, and we just had a lot of movement. So that's why this is a little bit larger than what you'll see on a regular basis. We broke out cell phone from our utility. It had one line, and so we broke out cell phone reimbursements, so that's part of a lot of our negotiated agreements. So we are really looking at all our expenses and trying to break them out a little bit easier, so that when we're developing our budget next year, we'll have a little bit better breakout. So next year, probably utilities will be on my radar. Because right now, utilities is gas, water, electric, internet, everything flows to one account. So we will probably break that out so that we have a little bit better idea of what we're spending on those utilities individually. But, so that's why there's a lot of pages. I can tell you that I verified, there was 2 adjustments I did today, which were actually posted in February. I was off by 3 cents on one of the transfers I did. I caught it today, so I fixed that. And there was $1,850 that was not corrected, so I took care of that. That was on
Page 3.
The journal entry I attached in the packet for you. Looks like it is. Yeah, after page 3, I may have said that.
Yeah.
So that one is the 1850 that's noted as a correction for February. That should be, the 4350 is what the actual budget was. So that with this cleanup, I noticed that when I ran that report, that one was off by $1,800. So just want to make sure everything, all the original appropriation matches that there's no adjustments. The only adjustment in there is a reduction to the garage fund. I'm reducing that budget because the actual quote that we got for the list that we included in the budget actually came in less. So I kind of wanted to skim that so that it's not available to people. It'll come as an appropriation for next Monday's agenda. I just wanted to make sure it was out of the budget, not available for anyone to inadvertently pull that and use those monies. But this is the first report. What you'll get, I would imagine February will probably be a lot shorter. We never had a lot of movement.
Any other questions or comments from council?
No, I'll just say, as I'm looking through this, it's very difficult for me to keep all the GL accounts straight, especially we use very similar ones at work. So I asked for kind of a cheat sheet, and I think she's going to provide one for council to make it a little bit easier to go through this.
I'll have just a general account on what they are, so you don't really know what they are.
Thank you, Mr. Rollins and Ms. Courtwright. Okay, other matters? Miss Lang.
I am going to request that we go into executive session after we do the committee meeting schedules. All council, administrative in the jury box. Clerk does not need to be present, but that's just up to you. This will be a discussion on personnel issues, public employment, and collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, so noted.
Thank you, Dave, 365 Silver Street. Since we're talking budget, I did get some information about Party Bus, AKA Night News. And I know there's probably not enough people in this room that care or that can do anything, but I did want to let you know that since the end of November, all of December, and all of January, 2 drivers that have already been employed with the city have been collecting overtime every week since Party Bus has started. So there's been about 115 hours of overtime spent by the transit department on the weekends. I looked at the time cards. These people typically worked from 5:30 to 2:30 or like 7 to 4, depending on their lunches and such. Now they're coming in at 1 and working till like 11:30. So the services that they were providing from 5:30 until 2 have now been reduced so they can drive no one at night. While you're going to your executive session, I would recommend that you have another little chitty chat, because Isaac Wiles, that you were talking about, that you didn't want to approve the $15,000 for, they're making bank off of us because they just settled a case for us. I don't know. I don't want to give the name because it's such a horrible story. But they settled a case for us, civil rights violation, where the police and fire left the man who had tried to commit suicide to die. Coroner got there, he's not dead, he dies 4 hours later. We just settled that case. You can imagine how much that cost. We've got this case going on over here with zoning. And you probably noticed my shirt last week that said you got served. That's because the city of Marion did, and litigation with me is no longer pending, it's active. So you might want to talk about that, because I don't think you guys know.
Madam President, just to correct the factual error that was just expressed, the city of Marion has not entered into a settlement agreement with litigation in regards to the police department and fire department responding to a suicide, so.
Thank you.
Naomi Craig, 365 Silver Street. Based on the case that I read the filing, I have the filing on my phone, I'd be glad to email it to anyone. The lawyer from Isaac Wiles said their settlement had been reached, so the court's time was no longer wasted. And I'll email it to anyone.
Any other matters? All right, we'll go on to committee meetings. Ms. Lang, Airport Plans and Buildings.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. R. Smith.
Yes, we will have a can-do presentation, 6:30.
Mr. T. Smith.
There's Trex transfer.
Oh, thank you, sorry, Mr. Neff's committee Trex, it does need to
So, what did I call?
6:30, so 6:35?
Yes.
Okay. And then on to your,
Yes, there's a drug and alcohol policy for the transit department that needs to be updated. We'll discuss that at 6:40.
all righty. Municipal Services, Parks and Rec. Mr. Ratliff, Public Utilities.
I have nothing to call at this time.
Let's see, Regional Planning is still set for the 4th Wednesday at 7. Streets and Sewers, Mr. Barr.
Can we get our survey in for the Evans? Nothing at this time.
There will be something for the next.
Mr. Prater, Zoning and Annexation.
Nothing new that I know of at this time.
Depending on Planning Commission, you may have those 2 proposals from them back.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
So
Call it, and if they don't get back to you, we can cancel it.
All right, I'll call this at 6:45, zoning and annexation.
Okay. And Ms. Lang, Finance.
650, I believe there's a couple of grant applications coming through.
Okay. Thank you. With that, 7:54. Oh, no, we're not adjourned. We're going to go into executive session.
You need a motion in a second.
I need a motion for the executive session, Ms. Lang.
I make a motion that we adjourn to executive session.
We have a motion from Ms. Lang and a second from Mr. R. Smith to adjourn for executive session. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Barr?
Aye.
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
All right. Executive session then.
See you in 3 hours.
We need to start right away for the first 5 minutes. We'll take 5 minutes before executive session, so at 8 o'clock.
A motion to add, to the agenda, ordinance authorizing the mayor to take all steps necessary. And I believe the clerk has the,
I have received a copy. For numerical reference, this will be ordinance 2025-013.
What was that again?
a motion to add this.
No, the ordinance number.
We need 3
I will
councilmen.
second.
I'll third.
We have a second from Mr. Rollins, a third from Mr. Barr
To add to the agenda.
to add to the agenda.
It's on the agenda. Ordinance 2025-013, ordinance authorizing the mayor to take all steps necessary to conduct an RFP for a payroll service provider. Council hereby declaring it necessary to utilize authority provided by Ohio Revised Code 735.051 and declaring an emergency.
Does it need to read as amended?
Okay, so I will make a motion to amend, to add section 3 and change section 3 to section 4. You can clean up my wording. I have no agreement with an outside payroll vendor can take effect unless a majority of the city steelworkers union members agree with the elimination of the payroll specialist position.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion to amend by Mr. Ratliff, as was just read, and a second from Ms. Lang.
Second.
Hold on a second. Gotta find the right spot. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion to amend carries. Mr. Barr?
Motion
Let me
to
read this.
suspend.
Oh, wait.
Let me read this.
Oh.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to take all steps necessary to conduct an RFP for payroll services provider. Council hereby declaring it necessary to utilize authority provided by Ohio Revised Code 735.051 and declaring an emergency as amended.
Mr. Barr?
Motion to suspend Rule 56. Committee
Yeah.
consideration.
We have a motion to suspend the committee consideration rule, and Mr. R. Smith, I see you hand up for the second. Mr. Barr for the motion.
We have a hand up too.
Do you have a hand up, Neil?
Oh, yes, we have a couple hands up.
Christian Hudson, 211 East Fairground. What is happening? Here's a copy, isn't it? Does anybody else have an extra copy?
I'll give you the quick and dirty. Payroll specialist has left the auditor's office. The auditor does not have anyone capable of completing payroll, and we are seeking a third-party administrator to help with payroll.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And we might note that it's like $30,000 or $40,000 cheaper than our current
System.
system.
Is this permanent or temporary?
Permanent.
It's unclear at this point.
If union agrees to it, it could be permanent.
About 47 to 52,000 dollars.
Even better.
Yep.
Yep.
Mr. Ratliff?
Now, question, when we're stating how much is less, because we've also said that we're gonna need a 10 to 15 hour person there. Are we taking that into effect, or are we taking just what we're paying the person and what the contract is gonna be? Because,
I did not.
okay,
They do not.
But that person is already on staff, so if we work that out, then there should be hopefully room for her to, or he or she to do that work.
Got a first and a second for.
We have a first and a second for a motion to suspend the committee report. Go ahead.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Barr?
Motion to suspend the 3 readings.
We have a motion to suspend the 3 readings rule. We have a second for Mr. Prater.
Yes.
When you're ready.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion to suspend the 3 readings rule carries. Mr. Barr?
Motion to adopt.
A motion to adopt, and Mr. T. Smith has the second. Any more discussion or questions? All right.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Motion to adopt carries unanimously. Again? So we have adopted, is that the right one? Okay.
Yes. CO.
Ordinance 2025-013. Anyway, unless there's anything further, I think we will adjourn this meeting. 8:45. Thank you all.
I said I had served.
Hey, we legislate that.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
Do you want that back?
Yeah, I can make a copy.
That's fine, I marked on it.
Yes.
Oh, no problem.
I've never seen it, but if you find something that says that, I'll look at it, whether it's in the Attorney General thing or anything like that.